Next week, the teeth of the Russian devils will gnash ever harder, and their rabid mouths will foam in uncontrollable frenzy, as the world will see a favorite Kremlin propagandist pay for their crimes.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about this crazy video that looks like something from SNL, recorded by a person by the name of Sarah Ashton Cirillo, an American citizen, I suppose, who's over in Ukraine, quote unquote, fighting on the front lines. Now, this person is transgender. And before we get into anything, let's just give you some history into this person, just briefly. So check it out. You see what's going on right here? Shout out to Jack Posobiec. This person, Sarah, was born Mike, a 46-year-old Florida man. And you see the politics right here. You see what's going on. That was this person before the transition. All right. Now, before we get into this video, which is pretty crazy, whether or not this person is a CIA asset or what's going on, how are you an American who is doubling as a Ukrainian war spokesperson? Before we get into that, let's take a look at this individual right here. Now, this is Boneface. This is also an American who went over to Ukraine and fight. Now, you see this gesture he's doing. We all know what that is. We all know what it is. So I'm just trying to figure out, who are we really fighting for? Who are the Ukrainians really? Not your regular everyday normies, but who's really fighting the war? Are they good guys or bad guys? I can't really tell. Let's keep on going. Here are some Ukrainians talking about what's going on. In case you cannot read the subtitles, I'll play it and then I'll repeat what they said.
Я воював 17 років, я укроп, я нацист, да, я воював проти ДНР.
Українці чи росіяни?
Там, я не назву тих людей українцями, а вони нам не потрібні. Коли українські танки зайдуть в Донецьк, вони будуть знищені.
Так можна тоді припинити вже зараз війну, якщо
Ні, їм потрібно їх знищити. Я воював 17 років, я укроп.
I'm a Ukrainian. I'm a Nazi. He says it right there. I've been fighting against DPR. And then, are the Donbass residents, are those Ukrainians or Russians? Well, we don't call them Ukrainians. That's, you know, so the Donbass, they don't consider them to be part of Ukraine. He's a Ukrainian, he's a Nazi, and he's fighting against the Donbass. So why are we trying to save the Donbass into the hands of the Ukrainians if they don't consider them to be Ukrainians? It doesn't make any sense at all. All right. Now, here is your guy, Boneface. All right. Well, this is actually the other guy that was crying about his wife dealing with some other guys. Then you're going to see Boneface, who we saw earlier, come from the background, and he's going to say something that's going to be repeated in another video we're going to watch in a moment.
Christopher, there's a presidential race going on right now. Are you going to vote in 2024? What do you think is going to happen?
My vote is useless. I think Biden's better than Trump because he sends rockets to Ukraine.
In support of Ukraine, you mean?
Hell Ukraine, hell Azov.
All right, so these guys love Ukraine. They're cheering for Ukraine, Slava Ukrainia, all this and that and the third, right? We hear that going on. Now, here's something very interesting. This is going to be General Milley saying the exact same thing that Boneface said, that the Nazi, okay? We got quite a few Nazis in Ukraine. So, again, I'm trying to figure out who are we fighting for? Who are we trying to defend? Let's roll this. Then we're going to get into the crazy video from, quote unquote, Sarah Cirillo.
Light always triumphs over the darkness. Thank you, and Slava Ukraini.
So it's like, all right, Slava Ukrainia, like, what are we really talking about here exactly? What exactly are we talking about? Now we come to this character. So far, we've seen some Americans who support Ukraine in a very interesting way. We saw a Ukrainian talking about, I'm a Ukrainian, I'm a Nazi, I'm fighting the war against Russia. And then this person is an American over in Ukraine, allegedly fighting against Russia. What's really going on? Let's hear what this person says and see if you get any kind of threatening vibes from it. And of course, if you want to see this in full for some reason, link will always be in the box. And yes, it is the same person. This person is transgender, Sarah Cirillo, formerly known as Mike.
This is Sergeant Sarah Ashton Cirillo of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, And I'd like to thank the X social media platform for carrying this exclusive message from Kyiv. There has been much discussion recently related to my role within the armed forces of Ukraine. Before answering some of the questions put forward by Senator Vance of Ohio, I'd like to thank all those in the U.S. who are supporting the Ukrainian people. Without Republicans and Democrats working together on behalf of Ukraine, our growing and unstoppable success on the battlefield, and the inevitable victory it will bring over the Russian invaders,
that war will never actually succeed. The war will never succeed. The war is not supposed to actually succeed in favor of Ukraine. The war is simply to wear down the Russian war machine, to make them more vulnerable to attacks from the West. That's really it. To make them more vulnerable, if not from direct, like ground attacks, which is a different story, economic stuff, sanctions, that kind of deal. They're trying to make Russia weaker. They're not trying to actually save Ukraine. If they were trying to save Ukraine, they would do a peace deal, or just let them get taken back by the Russians, or just take off the possibility of NATO becoming intertwined with Ukraine.
Would take significantly longer. The delivery of ATACMS will further expedite our victory while saving lives and tax dollars in the process. America is once more showing why it's history's greatest republic and the world's lone superpower, and all of us in Ukraine are humbled by the support we're receiving from the American people. Let me also take a moment in my role as spokesperson for the AFU's Territorial Defense Forces.
Again, how does this person become a spokesperson? Like, what is the science behind this? What is the purpose?
To state unequivocally that we in the TDF and across Ukraine believe journalists are heroes and have the right to report on Ukraine's war for liberation without interference.
But
free speech is the pillar of all democracy. The First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, along with the rest of that sacred document, is ordained by God. The Russian propagandists and war criminals who are spreading lies and pushing false narratives are not journalists.
So if you're a Russian and you say things that this person disagrees with, that means you're a propagandist spreading lies and you're not a journalist. I mean, is that how freedom of speech works? Freedom of the press? Do they have that in Ukraine? I don't think so. I thought that was an American thing, but let's say they do. Freedom of speech, freedom of press means that those you disagree with and agree with have the right to report. That's just what it is.
They are information agents and an extension of the Putin-Prigozhin effort to spread chaos and wreak havoc across the globe. In Ukraine, we do not seek vengeance, only justice.
What you mean we? Are you Ukrainian now? I mean, what I'm looking at right now is Florida man. So are you Ukrainian right now? I don't understand what's going on.
Because of this, these enemies of freedom and democracy will have to answer for their crimes in a court of law. Senator Vance recently asked the U.S. Director of National Intelligence, along with the Secretaries of State and Defense, if I was working in some capacity for the American government.
Now, pay close attention to what this answer is and see if you get the appropriate response.
Simply put, I'm an American serving as a Ukrainian infantry soldier and combat medic who was brought from the zero line and assigned to the TDF's media team in the dual role of spokesperson and Russian disinformation analyst. The remaining speculation surrounding me is disappointing. While in Ukraine, we are fighting.
Did you get the answer that you wanted? Because I thought the question was, are you working for the U.S. government? Oh, it's disappointing speculation. Okay, that's fine. But do you work for the U.S. government? Are you a U.S. government plant? And judging by the looks of things right here on my screen, it'd make sense for this person to be part of the U.S. government and to be placed there by them. Because what more American U.S. government thing is there than putting a transgender person in this particular role? Okay, you want to be diverse, right? So it can't just be a regular white male named Mike from Florida. We got to throw him a wig on and make him be transgender, and now we're diverse. That's what's going on right here. And if I'm wrong, if I'm incorrect about my assertion, y'all give me some counter arguments in the box.
Fighting for global liberty and the ideology of victory. Too many in Moscow and across the world are still caught up in focusing on the tired trope of gender chaos.
What is that? What is gender chaos? Can we get down to the bottom of that?
Ukraine is a nation that embraces individual liberty and maintains a devotion to God. The freedom that Ukraine is fighting for is not based on carving out privilege for some, but creating a pathway of prosperity and success founded in hard work and the rule of law for all. Neither I nor any Ukrainian is fighting for tolerance and acceptance for any one group, but for the freedom of every human. This freedom is one that most closely resembles the heroic efforts of the American patriots in 1775.
Wow, really?
I've never been more proud to be a U.S. citizen as I am fighting on behalf of the Ukrainian people against the tyranny of Russia and their assorted enablers, all of whom are enemies of the United States. I'll finish by stating unequivocally that I only answer to three groups of people: my Ukrainian commanders, the Ukrainian people, and the American taxpayer.
American taxpayer, that's a very interesting thing to say. So the American taxpayer, doesn't that imply that you are employed by the government? Because when you're talking about those who answer to the taxpayer, it wouldn't be me, just regular old ABL, because I don't work for the government. But if you work for the government, then you are accountable to the U.S. taxpayer. So wouldn't that go back to the question that was asked of you earlier? Are you a U.S. government plant? I mean, wouldn't that just make sense? Hey, 2 + 2 is still 4.
And in taking my responsibility to all three seriously, I have one goal: to help you return Ukraine to its legally recognized 1991 borders in the quickest and most efficient way possible. Doing so means saving Ukrainian and Russian lives.
So you're going to take back Crimea too, for real? Didn't that get taken during Obama and it wasn't even the fuss about it? What was it, like 2014? Y'all ain't getting that back. Come on, man. Y'all not getting Donbass back either. Your man in the beginning said that they're not even Ukrainians. So what are you talking about?
God bless America and Slava Ukraini.
They love saying that Slava Ukraini. You might as well give me the little, give me the one hand salute as well. Give me that. Now I'm gonna close with this. Now this right here is part of the problem. We have that kind of individual going on television, going on social media, going to Ukraine, doing whatever they're doing. But the enablers of that kind of behavior are right in front of you. Let's check out this news story from, I think, Nevada. Let's watch.
A local reporter working on the front lines in Ukraine is gaining national attention, also getting some recognition from officials in Las Vegas as well.
Sarah Ashton Cirillo was honored for her work in Ukraine today at Las Vegas City Hall. She served as a war correspondent since March, and recently she enlisted as a combat medic, serving on the front lines with other soldiers. She originally went to Ukraine to write about the refugee crisis. Numerous lawmakers, including Governor Sisolak, Congresswoman Dina Titus, and Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, gave her certificates of recognition for her work overseas.
The reasons I'm fighting along with every other soldier are the reasons that the people in the United States and elsewhere can enjoy the lives they have here.
And this week, she also met with members of Congress and was even asked to give one of her military uniforms to the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C.
Boy, oh boy. I mean, I tell you, like, that is a problem. That is the enabling. People say, hey, ABO, why you focused on the transgender stuff? Look at, do you see what's going on here? Do you see how this person is bolstered up by the government, by the media, by all these wokesters? And that'd be the problem. And then your taxpayer money, as the person said, are going right over there, going to this particular individual, going to the so-called war effort, to the tune of billions of dollars. Meanwhile, here in the U.S., we got failing infrastructure, sky-high inflation, all kind of just problems that seem to get ignored in favor of other countries that do not pertain to us at all. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to everybody who understands what's going on here. Ukraine, hey, all the innocent, regular normies, hopefully you guys stay safe. But that war effort, quite frankly, is not our business. That's a Slavic civil war between Russia and Ukraine, and quite frankly, it's being egged on by the West. If the West wasn't involved, if we didn't have NATO trying to encroach on Russia, then that whole thing wouldn't be going on. We should just broker a peace deal and then leave it alone rather than egging it on, causing countless lives on the Ukrainian and Russian side to be lost for no real reason other than trying to weaken Russia for Western needs. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on what's going on here with this particular individual? You think that I'm right in my assertion? Am I wrong? Did I miss anything? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This, in my humble opinion, is clearly the government interfering, sending that person and others like Boneface, Kent McClellan, and the other guy, Christopher Polehouse. They are funding these people, sending them to Ukraine, sending them to Disney World, Florida. They are involved. Just like the whole Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot. Talking about, oh, well, this is a white supremacist group. Meanwhile, out of 20 guys, like 18 were either outright federal agents or federal informants. You only had 2 regular normies who got off because it was entrapment, because everybody was the police that was involved with the whole situation. This is totally crazy. And at a certain point, we can kind of see what's going on. It's obviously transparent. It's not, they can't hide what they're doing any longer. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.